All right, so here with Professor Eric Kennedy. Welcome to Three Questions. Can we start off by getting a bit about your background?
Sure, thanks for having me. My name is Eric Kennedy. I'm an associate professor of disaster and emergency management. I do a lot of my research related to forest fires and how we manage them. A lot of my research really focuses on working with agencies and working with communities to help them be better prepared for emergencies. I also serve as the head of Vanier College, where our focus is on supporting students in their middle and upper years. So we're working with students as they transition out of maybe big lecture classes into smaller seminars as they start to think about what comes next for careers and for applying to grad school.
Excellent. So when should undergrad students start considering graduate school? When's the right point in time?
There are two answers here. One answer is today. It is never too early to start considering this stuff. And the earlier you start to think about it, the more chance you have to sort of get ahead. And so I think in a real way, the sooner the better when it comes to thinking about these things. To give you an example, you're likely going to need significant reference letters for getting into grad school. And in order to get a good reference letter, you have to have some sort of connection with the person writing that. You either have to have a professional connection with them, maybe they've been your boss or your supervisor for a while, or you have to have an academic connection. You've taken a few classes with them, you've done some research with them, you've been connected with your student society. And so when you start to back those things off, right, getting a reference letter in time for the application, but building the relationship, getting involved, that really means the sooner the better to do those things. Now, the good news is that a lot of those things are going to help you no matter what you do. So even if you're not sure you want to go to grad school, building good relationships with your professors will help you get reference letters for jobs and help you get connected to alumni and help you get connected to other forms of employment too. So a lot of those things you want to do sooner than later are good practice no matter what direction you're going. The other
Perfect.
side of this,
Oh,
though, is if as much as you want to do this as soon as possible, I think there's also a bit of value in sort of taking some time to reflect and explore and check out electives and consider different approaches in terms of grad programs that you might want to take. I know for me, I I went a totally different direction out of undergrad than I thought I would coming into it. And that was because I was taking electives, because I was taking interesting courses that changed my path. And so, yeah, getting prepared and making those relationships and connections is valuable. But so too is spending the first couple of years exploring different possibilities and exploring different degrees and different electives that might give you some opportunities. So yeah, get prepared early by thinking about it, by building relationships for reference letters, by getting good grades, by getting involved, but also give yourself some time to explore different paths you might take, whether that's in grad school or careers.
perfect. Thank you. And what should students consider about programs in the application process when making a decision?
Great question. So I think the number one thing you have to consider is what is your goal? What are you trying to get out of grad school? Because the right match for you is going to depend a lot on what you're trying to achieve through going to grad school. It's really easy to think about grad school as something you can just sort of do if you don't know what else you're going to do, but you need to have a sort of purpose and reason for getting into it. Maybe that's that you want to be more competitive in getting into the career path or job that you want. Maybe you want to go on an academic path and become a researcher, become a professor. Maybe you want to experiment with a different way of studying questions you care about. But having that goal clear is so important to figuring out what program is going to be right for you. The other thing that's really important is fit. It's easy to get obsessed with like what is the number one ranked program or what school has the highest ratings. And when it comes to grad school, that matters a lot less. It really matters how good the fit is between you, your program, and your goals. Do those things match up? And is the program going to be aligned with getting you where you want to go and towards the achievement you want to make?
Perfect. And when students apply, what helps an application to graduate school stand out from the pack?
Yeah, that's a tough question, and every committee can be a little bit different. But I think there are sort of three big clusters of things that you can do to help boost your application. One, obviously, is the academic side. It matters what grades you get when you're looking at grad school. And so doing well in your courses and studying and getting good grades does make a difference. That can also apply if there are standardized tests that are needed for that particular grad school. And another academic thing people look at sometimes is research experience. Ways you can help to get that are through things like the DARE program here in LAPS, getting a summer research experience through that Dean's Award for Research Excellence, or volunteering as an RA, or getting a paid research assistant job with one of your profs. The second thing that they'll look at is you as a whole person. And I mean that in a couple of ways. One is the sort of extracurricular and volunteering and community stuff that you do. That does make a difference, and that can help show that you're a sort of mature professional who's ready to go into grad school. But it's also the transferable skills. Can you write well? Can you communicate well? Can you talk with people well? Those things really matter in your application and when you're having interviews with grad programs. And often when we're looking for candidates for our programs, it's less about the specifics of their academic past and more about, can they write well? Can they put together a good letter? Can they make a coherent argument? Are they professional to talk to? Those things really matter. So your academic background, your whole of self and transferable skills. And then a third thing is, have you done your homework? Have you tailored your application to that program? Is it really aimed at that specific opportunity, that specific graduate degree that you're applying to? It can be really easy to blast out a bunch of applications, but number one, that's expensive. And number two, it's really obvious when you're on a selection committee that you're getting just a generic application. And we look for ones that show that they've done their homework. They understand who our program is. They understand that there's a good fit between them and the program. And there's an application that's being tailored to our program that really shows they understand that connection.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for chatting.